It's the Christmas season once again, and this time I wanted to do a special for the channel, taking a look at this. It's the Adafruit Circuit Playground Express circuit board. It comes packed with a whole bunch of features, like little LEDs, motion sensors, light detectors, and a speaker. I thought it'd be fun to make a Christmas tree ornament out of this to see what it could do. And what's more, I want to get AI to generate all of the code for it. Let's go take a look. Season's greetings, Pi geeks and techno nerds all around the world. My name's Jeff, and I'm an IT professional who's been in the industry for over 30 years. I've been using Raspberry Pi since they first came out, and I wanted to share with you some of the projects that I've done over the years. If you like what you see on this channel, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to see more, and hit that notification bell so you can be told when I put a new video out. Let me know in the comments how you get on with this project. And if you've got any ideas for other projects you'd like to see me do in the future, put those in there as well. The Adafruit Circuit Playground Express is a relatively inexpensive board that you can pick up online. It comes packed with LEDs, sensors, and various other things that you can then drive using Python code. It may not be the most powerful processor in the world, but you can accomplish some really amazing things with it. Now, I'm not going to be using all of the functionality that it offers in this video. It actually does a hell of a lot. Around the edge, you could see all of these little holes in the board. Those are actually pinouts that are available, so you can make it drive other stuff as well as take readings from external devices. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be using the built-in functionality of the Playground Express in order to build a little Christmas tree ornament. And I want to use ChatGPT to create all of the code for it, so I can show you how easy that is to do as well. But I also want to point out, Adafruit have had nothing to do with this video. It's not sponsored in any way. I'm not trying to say you have to buy one of these things or anything like that. I'm just having a bit of fun here. So please don't consider this a review of the product. Now let's get going. When you first get your Playground Express device and you connect it using a USB cable onto your PC, it will be in what's called bootloader mode. And when it's in this mode, you can't actually do an awful lot with it. You have to install the CircuitPython firmware in order to be able to give you an environment that you can run your own Python code. You can download the CircuitPython firmware from here. All you have to do is click the green button. And I'll put the link to this along with links to anything else you see in this in the description below. Once you have the file downloaded, if you open up two file manager windows, one in the place where you downloaded the CircuitPython firmware, the other with the Playground Express device in it, and this will show up with the name cplayboot. Then all you have to do is drag and drop the CircuitPython firmware file onto it. The Playground Express will then reboot and remount itself under a different name. And you can see that here. You can see that the files do look very, very different. But once you've got to this point, now you're ready to connect Thonny. When you first start up Thonny, it won't initially know how to connect to the Playground Express. Now my Thonny here is configured, which is why you can see the messages down in the bottom right hand corner. But let me show you how to connect it for the first time. All you have to do is go to the Tools menu in Thonny and come down to Options. That will then open this window here. All you have to do is go to the Interpreter tab, and then there's two drop downs in here. In the first one, select CircuitPython Generic. In the second one, it'll open up and give you a big list of all of the ports that are available on your PC. Just search around in that list for whichever one is labelled as Circuit Playground Express, and this will be the port that you need to use. In my case, it's /dev/tty/acm0. Once you're done with that, just hit OK. Now you're pretty much ready to go. All you have to do is hit this Stop Restart button, and you'll then see in this window here all of the files that exist on the Playground Express, and down in this window you can see any output that it gives. In this case, it's just showing me the standard Python triple chevron prompt. Now I just want to make reference to the bug that I was talking about earlier. I didn't experience this when I first got the Playground Express, so I don't know if my device has got damaged somehow or if something else has gone wrong with my environment. But just in case you encounter the same thing, I've hit a problem whereby if I try to access the code files that are on the device itself and edit them and run them directly when I'm in the Thonny editor, then it just fails and the device restarts. Now I'm hoping that none of you will ever experience this same issue, but just in case you do, I wanted to explain how I worked around this. I have to edit all the code files on my local PC, and then when I'm happy with them, I have to use File Manager to copy them onto the device. Now by default, the Playground Express, when it starts up, will execute a file called code.py if it exists on the file system. So what I want to do here is actually download this onto my local file system. I do this just by right-clicking on it and then selecting an option to download. You can see that that file is now present on my local file system. If I open this file up, then you can see the source code is really simple and all it's doing is printing a hello world message. If I hit the green arrow here to run that, then you can see it does actually execute this on the Playground Express itself, and you can see the output there. So as long as I edit all of the code here on my local file system, I can still test it and run it on the device. But when I'm at the point where all of the code is finished and I want it to sit natively on the Playground Express so it can start it by itself without being connected to a PC, I'll have to use File Manager to copy the file over. Now let's start to do something that's a little bit more interesting. Here you can see a view of my Playground Express. Apologies for this being a little bit dim. As you can tell, the LEDs on it are actually really bright, and that's playing havoc with my camera here. So I have to have the brightness turned down a bit, otherwise it gets completely blown out. But you can see by default, it illuminates all of the LEDs. Just thanks to my camera, they're showing up a little bit blue here. This is actually outputting a white LED. Each of these LEDs are actually multicolor LEDs and can output any color. So as a starting point, let's start playing with those. Back in my browser here, I've got ChatGPT open. So let's see if it can generate some code for us in order to play around with the LEDs. So here, I'm just asking it to generate code so it will light up each of the LEDs alternating between white and red. I'm also just adding a clause here that I want the brightness to be set to 0.2. The brightness figure comes in between a value of 0 and 1 from the lowest to the highest brightness. As you saw before, my camera gets a bit freaked out if the lights are too bright, but you can set the brightness to whatever is good for you. Now let's see what ChatGPT does with this. And here we go, it's created some code. So let's just click this link to copy it and take it back over into Thonny. Back here in Thonny, I'm just going to delete the code that was there before and then just paste in the code that ChatGPT has just created. So now let's run this code and see what happens. And perfect, it set each alternate LED to be either white or red. Now again, my camera's kind of showing the white light as blue. I'm really sorry, I can't really help that much, but it's doing what I asked it to. Now let's try to up the ante a bit by getting it to change the colors dynamically. Here, I'm going to ask it if it can change the red and white LEDs to then be green and yellow instead. I want the transition to happen over a 5-second period and then switch back again, looping infinitely. Okay, it's generated the code, so let's grab that and now see if it works. Back in Thonny, once again, I'll just delete all the old code, paste in the new code, and then let's try to run it. And there it goes. Once again, you can see that my camera is not exactly representing this perfectly, but I hope you get the idea that it's able to transition these colours from red and white to green and yellow really effectively. Since my camera is not exactly doing the best job here, let's try to make something with a slightly different pattern. Back with ChatGPT here, let's try to get it to write code that will give us something like a comet trail effect. So here I'm asking ChatGPT to create the effect of like a comet trail of LEDs. What I should find is that there's a very bright LED at the front and then 3 behind it that progressively get dimmer. I then want these to spin around the Playground Express, going faster and faster. When they hit their maximum speed, I then want all of the LEDs to glow up to their maximum brightness and then come down to 0 again, before it all loops round. And here we've got our code. So once again, let's take that back to Thonny and see how well it works. I've pasted in the code here. And so now let's see if it works. And there you can see the LED's comet trail has started. This should just get progressively faster and faster and faster. And then once it's going at super speed, it should glow up all of the LEDs and then fade them out again. And there it goes. And now it's just looping around again like I asked it to. So you can see, we can actually do some pretty complex things here. But LEDs aren't the only things that this can do. Let's go and take a look at some of the other functionality on the board. One of the other devices on the board is a small speaker. So let's see if we can get it to play a tune. So here, I'm asking it to write code that will play the first line of the tune Jingle Bells. Let's grab that code, put it into Thonny and see what happens. Now here, I'm just holding the Playground Express right next to the microphone, so hopefully when it plays the tune, you'll be able to hear it. Let's see what happens. And the answer is absolutely nothing. It's not played a single thing. Let's see if ChatGPT can debug this. Back here in GPT, let's just tell it that the Playground Express didn't play any sound and see if it can make a correction. And after reminding ChatGPT that it needed to work with the CircuitPython libraries, it seems to be working better now. Here, once again, I'm just holding the Playground Express right by the microphone. And if I run the code, it does play the tune. Well, kind of. It's at least a representation of it. Now let's see if we can get it to play another tune. Now I'm going to see if I can make it play the first line of the song We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Now I'm going to learn from that past experience. I'm going to be very specific in what I ask ChatGPT to do here. Okay, it's given us the code. Let's see if it works. Well, I don't know about you, but that didn't sound much like We Wish You a Merry Christmas to me. So let's see if we can get ChatGPT to do a better job. And let's see if it can make any corrections. It says it's generated the code here. Let's go and take a look. Let's give it a go. And it's just playing the same tune again. So clearly ChatGPT doesn't know very much about Christmas carols. But it got Jingle Bells right, so we'll just roll with that. Another feature of the Playground Express is a motion sensor, so it can tell when the device moves. I want to try to use this so that when the device is moved, it will then play the Jingle Bells song. Let's see what ChatGPT makes of that. Let's take the code into Thonny. And now I have the device here. If I move it, let's see what happens. And sure enough, it seemed to do what I asked of it. Now let's try to bring all of this functionality together. This time, I'm going to try to be really extreme. I want it to do the LED comet trail and then interrupt that if the device gets moved and have it play the Jingle Bells song, and then have it resume the LEDs again, and then make it loop around this all the time. Okay, so this is quite a complex query. Let's see what ChatGPT does with it. And we've got the code, so let's take that to Thonny and see what it does. Just as always, I'll just select all of the code that's there and then paste over the top with the new code. Now let's run it and see what happens. And here you can see that the code is running just fine. The LEDs are spinning around, getting faster and faster all the time. Let's just make sure that they get as fast as they possibly can do, and then they do the whole glow up and glow down thing. And that looks great. Now let's see if it will play the tune if I move the device. And while it seemed to need a little bit of convincing that it was being moved around, it eventually did pick up the motion detection and it played the tune. Now everything's working as we want it. We have to transfer this code onto the Playground Express. Now, like I say, I've got to do this in a slightly roundabout way. Hopefully you guys won't. If everything does work properly, you should just be able to right click on code.py here and then just say upload to the device and it'll just do it. You can then just disconnect the device from your PC, connect up a battery, and it should just start running. In my case, I have to do the copy manually. So I'm just going to go to my file manager here, copy the file code.py, and then just paste it in the other file system. And now that's there, if I disconnect the device from my PC and just hook it up to a battery, it should just start running all of that code. You can pick up the batteries for the Circuit Playground Express from the Adafruit website. This is the one that I've got just here. Very simple 500 milliamp hour battery. Now I have the battery here and the Circuit Playground Express. If I connect the battery up, this should just start working. And there you can see that the LEDs have started to spin. Now the other accessory that you can get for this is a little plastic enclosure that you can put your Playground Express in, and then it's got little tabs here that you can use to hang it from a Christmas tree. So you can make this behave as a customized little Christmas tree ornament. This is what it looks like when everything's inside the little case. I think it's really cute and it looks great on a Christmas tree. And as you can see, using ChatGPT to create the code and drive all of the little features on the board how you want it to, you can customize this thing to your heart's desire. But that's it for this video. Once again, if you like what you see here, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to see more, and hit that notification bell to be told when I put a new video out. Let me know in the comments what you do with the Playground Express. And as always, if you've got ideas for other projects that you'd like to see me do in the future, put those in there as well. Thanks so much for watching till the end. And until next time, have a wonderful Christmas and bye for now.